Ahoy there, fellow cruisers. We're setting sail today on a deep dive into, well, a topic that sometimes makes people a little anxious.
Yeah.
Specifically on cruises. It can be a little murky, right? Like, who do you tip? When do you tip? How much? Intrepid travelers, we've got two fantastic guides on board to help us navigate these sometimes choppy waters.
Mm-hmm.
We've got insights from Phil Evans over at Cruise Nation and the always informative cruise expert, Ilana Schathauer from Life Well Cruised.
Excellent sources.
Yeah, by the time we finish this deep dive, you'll be tipping like a seasoned pro. You'll be tossing those metaphorical doubloons around with confidence.
And grace.
And grace, exactly. So first things first, can we just debunk this myth, this idea that you have to constantly be tipping for everything on a cruise?
Oh, absolutely. That's a common misconception for sure. It's not like, back in the old days where you had to slip a coin to every sailor who looked at you funny.
Right. Like every time you turn around.
These days, most cruise lines have what are called automatic gratuities. So a lot of the tipping is already taken care of for you.
Oh, okay. So automatic gratuities, what is that what does that actually mean?
So basically, it's a set amount, a daily fee that's added to your onboard account. It covers things like your cabin steward, the folks who keep your room tidy,
Right.
the wait staff in the main dining room, even your bartenders, the people in the spa. It's all kind of bundled into this automatic gratuity.
So you don't have to be walking around with a wad of cash all the time.
Exactly. I mean, you can if you want to, especially if someone, really goes above and beyond.
Right, exceeding expectations.
Phil Evans suggests keeping a little bit of extra cash on hand for those situations.
Okay, that makes sense. A little something for exceptional service, a little, thank you. So these automatic gratuities sound pretty convenient.
Yeah.
But I've also heard, and Phil Evans seems pretty strong on this point, that removing those automatic gratuities is like a major cruise faux pas. Why is that? What's the big deal about leaving those in place?
Well, it's important to remember that, for a lot of cruise ship employees, those automatic gratuities make up a significant portion of their income.
Okay, so it's not just a convenience thing, it's their livelihood.
Exactly. Removing them could actually have a real impact on their, ability to make ends meet.
Right. So, I mean, unless you have a really strong reason to, like a specific issue with the service, it's kind of considered rude to opt out of that system.
Yeah, it's just not something you really want to do. It's best to, to stick with the system that's in place.
Got it. So automatic gratuities, easy for us, and it ensures fair wages for the crew. Everyone wins.
Exactly.
Now, Ilana Schathauer brought up something really interesting about buffet etiquette. I mean, we all love a good cruise buffet, right?
Oh, yeah.
But apparently there's this kind of unspoken rule that you're not supposed to clear your own plates at the buffet.
Right.
And this is something I would never have thought of. I mean, on land, it's almost rude to not clear your plate at a buffet.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive.
What's the logic behind that? What's going on there?
Well, cruise lines are actually getting really, really serious about sustainability these days, especially when it comes to waste management and food waste in particular.
Okay. So how does clearing my plate interfere with their sustainability efforts?
Well, a lot of ships now use these things called biodigesters to break down food waste.
What's biodigester?
Basically, it's a giant tank filled with microorganisms, and they do their microorganism thing,
Right.
and they break down the food waste. This helps to reduce what goes into landfills and minimize the ship's overall environmental impact.
Okay.
But if passengers are bussing their own tables, it can actually disrupt that whole process.
Oh, I see. Like the crew has a system in place for how the waste is handled.
Exactly. They need to make sure that the right kind of waste is going to the right place.
Okay.
And if people start clearing their own plates, it throws everything off.
Wow. So by leaving my plate on the table, I'm actually helping the ship be more environmentally friendly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of those, little things that can make a big difference.
It's counterintuitive, but I like it.
It's about thinking sustainably.
Yeah.
Especially in a closed environment like a cruise ship.
That's fascinating. It
Yeah.
really is. So I guess the takeaway here is on a cruise, tipping etiquette is a little different than what we might be used to on land.
For sure.
Automatic gratuities are our friend. They make it easy for us, and they ensure that the crew is being treated fairly.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the buffet, channel your inner slob just a little bit. Leave those plates right where they are. Help the ship be more sustainable.
Be a responsible cruiser.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, if they're doing this with food waste, what other What other kind of surprising sustainability practices are they implementing on these ships?
That's a great question. It's definitely something to think about as you plan your next cruise. What other little unexpected ways can you be a more eco-conscious traveler?
Yeah, it's like a whole hidden world of sustainable cruising. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into cruise tipping etiquette. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two and you're feeling a little more confident about navigating those tip jars on your next adventure.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage. Until next time, happy sailing.
Happy sailing!
And remember, don't clear your plate at the buffet.
Leave it for the microbes.
Exactly.